guys, welcome back to For the Mother. I am Abby. I'm so happy you're here. We're going to talk today about decluttering. Normally my topics surround Bible and motherhood and all that stuff. But like I mentioned in my last video, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're in that season of your life where you're just feeling overwhelmed, overstimulated, stuck, tired, all of these things, hi, that's been my life for a really long time. And I've found something that has been really, really helpful, and that is decluttering. It is getting rid of all of the things that distract us, take up our time, make us feel like we're not getting any wins because we're cleaning up the same messes over and over and over again. What if we just removed a lot of that clutter? What would that do for our minds and our energy and our joy and all of those things, right? And so a lot of times I'll have moms, I always encourage moms, start and end your day in God's word. And then if you have time in the afternoon, get it in there too, because it's going to be so good for you. But a lot of times moms will say, I just don't have time for that. That's great for you, but I just don't have time for that. And I want to challenge you and say, you actually do. We all have the same amount of time. It just will take prioritizing it and being intentional to say, okay, I'm going to say no to these things and say yes to the most important things, which are our relationship with the Lord and how we mother our children to know and walk with Jesus. And so I want to encourage you guys in what has been really helpful for me is decluttering, okay? And so I'm going to go into this a little bit, but it sounds so simple and like we've heard this before, but every time I do it, I feel better. Whenever I get like spaces just super, there's no clutter, it's clean, it's fresh. Not only do I feel better, but my family does. Like my kids will walk in and be like, oh mom, it feels so good. Thank you so much for cleaning. My teenagers will thank me for cleaning and just removing clutter and just putting away all the stuff. We can get so like distracted by what we see. Wherever our eyes are impacts everything about us, right? If we start watching different women, which is why I think, social media can be such a trap for women specifically, is we start watching them and suddenly we need that thing. We need that type of house or that lifestyle or those clothings or the makeup, or we need their, whatever it is that we see, we suddenly want that. We are prone to coveting what we don't have. And we think that that's going to help fix the need that we have inside. And what we're really looking at, it's not like this, if we buy this thing, then we're going to feel better. We'll probably feel worse. There's an internal work that needs to happen. And so sometimes removing all of the things that distract us, which is not just in the physical, but also in what we're watching, what we're listening to, where our eyes are, impacts everything about us. And so the more we get our eyes on the Lord and on scripture and on truth, the more we'll be formed to that. The more we get our eyes on the world and the things of the world, the more that we're going to get formed to that. Goes for our kids too. So I wanted to give you some practical things because, for me to just be like, start every morning and end every evening in God's word and get it in the afternoons. And I think it's, for some women, it just feels like that's just one more thing on my list. And there's too many things that I'm overwhelmed. I'm so busy. And busy is a whole nother thing because women say, I'm so busy. We're just busy. We're in a busy season. And I would want to challenge that too and say, like, what if you got out of the busy season? What if you said no to all of these extra things? What would your life look like? How would you feel? Just picture it for a minute. What if you walked in your home and it was clutter-free and it felt peaceful and restful and you could just breathe and just be still? Like, how wonderful would that be? And yet we can choose that in our home. So as women, as mothers, as wives, we're the gatekeeper of what comes in and what goes out, what doesn't even enter our homes. Like, we have say over that, not our kids, right? Not the culture, not the influencer, not any of that stuff. We get to say yes or no. And so I want to encourage you guys, the first step in getting back to feeling yourself, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling all these things, if you're just in that busy season, which, again, busy is not your identity. It does not give you value to be busy. It's actually a distraction from things that I believe that the Lord would want to do in your life in stillness. Like, we actually have to intentionally give ourselves stillness, quiet, like to actually be able to be still enough to hear from the Lord. If we're always busy, doing what everybody else needs all the time, we're never giving enough quiet time for the Lord. And just a few minutes in the morning, I just don't think that that can carry us over. I think that we need to give more time. Like, he is worthy of our time to make space for the Lord, to spend with the Lord. So getting your energy back, your creativity, your fun, your peace, I believe is decluttering your environment. And your environment includes your home, your schedules, your digital devices, your minds, fears, worries, all of these things. Instead of, going to the Lord in prayer. And what is that verse that talks about pray without ceasing, right? I just talked about this on my other, the Oils Market YouTube. I was just talking about this. This is something that my husband brought up to me, was like this concept that we don't ever question, worry without ceasing, stress without ceasing, fear without ceasing, hustle without ceasing, serve without ceasing, do the next thing without ceasing, run around like crazy without ceasing, right? We don't question that. We're just like, I gotta do this thing. But then when it comes to like pray without ceasing, we're like, I don't have time for that. So it probably doesn't mean that, right? And so we try to work around what the Bible says to fit the busy schedule that we have said yes to. Your life is what you have said yes to or no to. And so if you're like overwhelmed and all this stuff, like let's us recenter. Let's like get back to peace and then figure out what the next steps are, right? So I was really encouraging you guys last week just to start somewhere, start with a drawer, start with something that's doable so that you don't feel just overwhelmed and like, because it can be overwhelming to look at stuff that we have accumulated and be like, I don't even know where to start. It's overwhelming. I'm just going to go shopping. I'm just going to go doom scroll on social media. I'm just going to go watch on my TV something. I'm just going to go eat something. I'm going to go drink something. I'm going to go gossip or listen to gossip, right? I mean, that's all the stuff that's on social media, is like, it just indulges the flesh so that we don't have to think about what's actually going on inside of us. So I want to encourage you guys, the first place to start to declutter and to find victory is your closet. It's your stuff. I can feel this where I'm like looking around, I'm like, oh, I just feel like overstimulated and overwhelmed. There's too many things, right? And so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go through the kids' toys, or I'm gonna go through the kids' things, or I'm gonna go through the garage, or I'm gonna go, like, my husband's stuff's here, or it's really easy to blame. The overwhelm is this, it's this person's stuff, it's this, it's whatever, it's the toys, it's, But let's start with us first, okay? Let's be the example. Let's do what we can do. We don't have to ask anybody's permission to like start with our own things, right? Our own clutter, our own closet. And as you do that, you get full say over what comes and what goes. And the cool thing is, every time I've done this, I start with my closet, my things. It has a trickle effect to where my kids see me doing it, my husband sees me doing it, and then suddenly everybody's like on board to like, yeah, I actually want to go through my stuff. I want to get rid of things. I want to pack things up. I want to have less, right? It's feeling too much in here. And so it's a really great way to be an example. It's a really great way for you to find a victory of like, I know I can, I just need to let this go, right? And so when you're going through your room, your closet, your stuff, it's important for you to be really honest with yourself. This is something that I've had to do in getting rid of things, is I have to be honest and say, okay, like we're going through winter, right? And we just had a big storm and it's been really cold and all this stuff. And thankfully the sun is out. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Jesus. But it's been very, very cold. And so I was going through all of my stuff and I'm like, okay, even on the coldest winter day, I never wore any of this stuff. When I had opportunity to wear something, I usually pick the same kind of few things, right? And so I can have a closet full of things that in all reality, if I'm super honest with myself, I will never wear that. Or if I do, it might be once. But yet it's storing in my closet. And when I go into my room or into my closet, I can feel that like it's cluttery. It's taking up like mental space when I go into my closet. I'm trying to decide what to wear, and there's things in there that I just know I don't like. And you can feel guilt of like, well, I bought this, so I don't want to waste the money. You're already wasting the money by not having it, by not wearing it, by not using it. So just get rid of it. We can feel like, well, I just got this, and so I feel guilty. I spent money, or even you spent money 5 years ago on something that you overspent, and you can still feel that like, well, I at least need to get my money out of it. And it's like, no, you're wasting your peace of mind by having just stuff in there, right? So if you're holding on to things because maybe you have stuff in your closet that like you like, but it has a bad memory. Like every time you wear it, you're like, ugh, I think about that moment that I wore it and this happened and I just don't like it, right? When I had gone through my miscarriage, I had just bought a bunch of like really cute things. And then I found I was pregnant. This was many years ago. And so I wore a lot of those things at the early stages of my pregnancy, and then I miscarried. And so during that time, even afterwards, I was just like, this all, like, it's new and I love it and I spent good money on it, but it all just reminds me of that season, and I actually need to get rid of it. Like it's like it can help release like a weight on us. Like the Bible talks about like lay aside every weight and sin. Some things aren't sin, but they're a weight. Things become a weight. We can live in our homes and live amongst like clutter and just stuff that we may not even like anymore, or we liked it for a minute but we don't, or it's just maybe we still love it but it just feels cluttery. It feels like too many little things or whatever. If it causes any type of weight on you, on your decision making, any of this stuff, like just get rid of it. Like it's okay. Like we live in a time where we can feel like, no, I need to save all this stuff. I need to keep it. I don't want to just get rid of it. I need to get my money back. All of this extra mind clutter then of what to do with it, when you can just pack it up and donate it. Just give it away. Like you're gonna feel good. It's gonna clear the space, the mental clutter. There's stuff that like, again, if you're just honest and say, okay, if I had a day that I could wear this, would I actually wear it, or would I still pick the things that I still pick? I would still pick the things that I still pick. Like for whatever reason, I just don't wear it. Even if I like it, I just don't wear it. Or you can love something and then when you put it on every time, you then take it off because you're like, it doesn't work today. It doesn't work with our bodies. Like again, let's be honest with our bodies. So maybe something looks adorable on somebody else and it just doesn't work on our bodies, and that's okay. Because if we keep putting it on and taking it off and putting it on and taking it off, and it just sits in there, and then it just reminds us of like, we're waiting to lose the weight, or we're waiting for the weather to be perfect, or we're waiting for this thing and we're overly in our minds about it. Like let that go. Like that is just extra weight that you don't need. You don't need to be constantly thinking about the most perfect scenario. And then typically when we get to that perfect scenario, we don't pick it anyways. So let's just get rid of it, right? I've had to do this with like crafty things, with books. Like if I had a moment to actually sit down, which I have, I never pick this book. So I'm going to get rid of this book and this book and this book. I'm going to get rid of this someday craft because I have this like fantasy of, this type of mom that like does a craft or makes this thing. And the reality is when I have the time, I'm like, hey kids, let's go outside and play. Let's go stand in the sunshine. Let's go, whatever. I do other things. I don't actually do the thing that's in my mind, this like fantasy version of me as a mom, or you can have this fantasy version of you like on the perfect summer day or the perfect winter day, and you're gonna wear that thing and you just don't wear it, right? And so let it go. Like I promise you, you will feel better. And recognize also, this is something just to be aware of. When you get rid of stuff, a lot of feelings will come up. You'll feel fear of like, well, what if I need that? The truth is you can go get it. Like God will provide. And if you're not using it now, maybe somebody else can use it and you probably won't need it. And if you do, you can just get it. Like it's okay. Everything's going to be fine, right? You can feel guilt because maybe somebody gave you that. And so you feel bad getting rid of it. But the truth is like, you don't owe that person guilt and shame to hold on to it because you just feel bad, but you're never going to use it. Like just get rid of it. It's okay. Everything's gonna be okay. You're gonna feel like I typically love getting rid of stuff, and I'll go through processes where I'm like, ooh, that feels weird. I'm feeling weird. Why do I feel weird feelings about getting rid of stuff? But you can, because you can be attached to things that literally don't matter. Like we are not to store up treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thief comes in and steal, but to lay up treasures in heaven, right? That is biblical. And so we can spend so much time like belly aching over things, treasures on earth. And we don't have that same belly aching over treasures in heaven. Like we just look at it differently, right? We're not stressing our brains out trying to figure out how to save these people, like preach the gospel to them. We're terrified to open our mouth and share our faith because what if it offends someone, right? But then we like bellyache over how are we going to pay this bill? What if we don't have enough? All of the things that like haven't even happened yet that we can worry and fear without ceasing, worry without ceasing, all of these things. God is like that. You don't even have to worry about that. Like I take care of the birds and plants and the animals. Like how much more value are you? Oh, you have little faith. Like we can have very little faith. We can bellyache over things that literally we can't take with us to heaven when we should maybe bellyache a little bit over souls not making it to heaven. Like that should be what drives us, what like burns within us, this deep desire to make Jesus known and to know him ourselves. And we can get flip-flop. And so the more we can get rid of the clutter, the stuff, the treasures on earth that will literally just, we're going to give away, we're going to store and have anxiety about, like let it go, okay? So our physical environment often reflects our internal environment. So if we have areas where there's a lot of clutter, there's probably a lot of clutter going on inside that we're not releasing, right? I remember this, I worked in this like group home they were teenagers that were like drug and alcohol addicted teenagers. And so they were in like this rehab program and they would go to counseling, and we had this very strict program that we did. And one of the things that they would have us do was if there was something coming up for one of the kids in like a social worker, like counseling session, then they would be like, we need to like do a room search. So we would do these room searches. And if they had any little like drawer or box or whatever that was just shoved with stuff, it would be like this whole thing that we had to bring out and like confront them on, because it was it can seem so little and like this seems extreme, like they can't just have a junk drawer. But in the counseling, they knew that like if you're stuffing things in this like back corner pocket, there's something going on that you're just not dealing with, right? And so we just tend to like shove things, store things, hoard things. If you watch those hoarder shows, it is too much for me. I get really anxious and I want to get rid of my whole entire house. But those people that hoard, it's like there's broken things inside that they're not looking at. They're unwilling to look at. And so they just keep adding more things, right? We can do this with any addiction, with alcohol, drugs, with sex, with shopping, with things, with attention, with whatever. Like we can avoid what is actually happening inside and fill it up with other things that just keep us distracted, keep us numb, keep us not thinking about it, right? And so a lot of times when there's stuff going on, there's closets full of junk, there's drawers full of junk, there's just stuff that we're hanging on to that we're unwilling to release, most likely in your internal soul, there is stuff that needs to be released. There is stuff that you are just unwilling to look at, that's overwhelming, that you may feel stuck in, that you don't know how to fix. And that is the wonderful, beautiful thing about Jesus, is he can fix it all. But we have to come to him in full surrender, lay aside our ego and our pride, and just come to him with our hands open as, Jesus, I just surrender it all. And so one of the steps to that can be, let's get rid of the external clutter. Okay, I would really encourage you to get rid of the digital clutter. Stop watching social media and all of the things that can make your heart sick, that can make you feel like a bad mom, that can make you feel like your wonderful house that God has given you and blessed you with is not enough because it doesn't look like hers, right? We could have a normal, wonderful house that God has provided, and it's suddenly not good enough because it doesn't match this person's, right? Let's get away from that, like digital declutter. Let's start in our houses start with one thing. Start with your closet, start with your stuff, and just be so brutally honest with yourself to say, I actually won't wear this. I actually won't read this. I actually won't use this. I have stored up treasures on earth for my someday open shelves kitchen, because I would love to have an open shelves kitchen. And I love all the cute decorations and it's all like so cute. And so I'll save up. I'm like, oh, I love this, and oh, this would be so cute. And then I found myself having all of these cute things with nowhere to put them. And if I did put them out to look at them, it just felt like too many things out. So then I would store them away and save them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I am storing up treasures on earth. And I'm feeling the clutter because it's cluttering other places. It's cluttering my cupboards. I'm storing it for something that I don't even have yet. Why? Why am I doing that? I'm distracting myself because there's stuff going on that I just don't want to deal with. And so this makes me feel good in this moment to find a treasure at a thrift store. And I've had to tell myself, like, stop, I'm not going to keep shopping, right? If I actually need something or my kids need something, I can go get that one thing. But I don't need to just get the maybe things or the cute trinkets or this, like, I love the hunt of like, I got this thing and it was like so fun. But like, that's distracting me. I'm spending money that I don't need to. I'm getting things that I can't even use right now. And maybe if I even could use it, I'm adding. I need to subtract. I need to downsize, right? And so starting with your room, starting with your stuff, your clothes is a great place to start because you don't need someone's permission. You can just go, fill it up in a bag, get rid of it. Don't overthink it. Get rid of it. And just know that you might be feeling feelings, and that's okay. Because you're going to feel it, and we have to feel it to then move forward into full freedom. If you have done any type of like, I've done many different diets for like allergies and stuff. My daughters have as well, and myself and my daughters have all experienced this where like you have to cut out this thing because you're having this reaction to it. And you can suddenly feel like, wow, I didn't realize how much I'm going to this food or this item, this comfort, instead of actually dealing with like what's going on. So when you say no to something, you're gonna feel stuff internally that makes you uncomfortable. But if you actually then have the time to deal with that inside, there's actual freedom on the other side. There's actual peace on the other side, because that thing is not gonna give us peace. That food, that comfort, that distraction, that scroll on social media is not actually going to give us peace. It's actually going to make us sicker. And so we need to move away from that. There's this verse. This was a verse that actually like really started my thought even in a lot of this stuff. Let's see. There's this verse in Proverbs that says, let me see, Proverbs 25. Nope, that's the wrong one. 25, 15, 16. 25, 16. Let me find the right version of this. These are all different. If you have found honey, eat only enough for you, lest you have your fill of it and vomit it. And I just started thinking like, that's really interesting because our culture is very like consumption culture, and we eat more than we need to where it can make us sick. Like we can overindulge in the things that we love, comfort food, desserts, carbs. Heyo, that's me. You know, we can do that with what we buy. We can overconsume. We can have closets full of stuff that even if we wore everything for a year, like we would still have stuff that we never wore, right? That's insanity. Like why are we overconsuming? Like if God has given us enough money to buy those things, it's probably not for those things. Like we're probably missing some incredible blessing from the Lord. It talks about in the Bible that he who lends to the poor lends to the Lord. So like God is really good at returning what is given, right? Like he is very generous. And so maybe that money isn't all for us, right? Most likely it's not for us, okay? So we can overindulge, overconsume, and then it just makes us sick. Okay, so let me go over my notes really quick. Okay, so again, I just want you guys to think through the long term of like what this would feel like to have a space, a home that feels peaceful, that feels clutter-free. What if you went into your closet and everything in there was just stuff that you really loved, that you knew you were gonna wear, that like brought you joy, instead of clothes that maybe make you feel guilty or shame, or they remind you of something, or that person gave it to you, or you spent too much money on it, or whatever. Like get rid of that weight, like release it. You do not need that. We love I always love this. Maybe I'm the only one, but I used to love walking through staged homes. It just felt like beautiful and peaceful, and it wasn't cluttered. It was just all the pretty things, right? If you go to stay at an Airbnb or a hotel, or our family would go stay in a cabin or whatever, and you stay somewhere. Why do we love it? Why is it so fun? Because it just is like you only bring the necessities that you have, and then you get to go there, and it's just clean and it's peaceful, and it gives space to like there's this cabin that we love to go. This family owns this cabin up in the mountains. I mean, we live in the mountains, but it's a different side of the mountain, by this lake, and so sometimes we get to go and stay there, and it's just wonderful. Lots of family memories. But one of our favorite things about going there is this cabin in the woods, and you go there, and it's just cozy cabin. And so my husband and I would love to like wake up early in the morning, and we get our coffee, and we go sit out on the porch at a table, grab our Bible, and just read our Bible with fresh coffee out in the mountain air. It was so special. It was like this precious moment to meet with the Lord. Well, because it's like this vacation home, right? And then at home, we literally live in the woods, in the most beautiful little point in the world. I love where our home sits. It's not our home, we rent, but we just love it. It's been such a haven, so sweet, just such a blessing to be in this space. And we're literally surrounded by these gigantic trees. It's so beautiful. The mountain air, it's fresh, and we don't go grab our Bible and coffee and go sit outside. There's just something different because we are home and we're getting busy and we're doing things, and I'm cleaning up and I'm, all this stuff. But there's something different about being in a place that's like this clear space where you don't have to make a lot of decisions. You only have a few items with you, and you just suddenly have like all this creativity and freedom and joy, and you're like loving the mornings, right? So there's something to that. So what if your home became that? What if your home became like just peaceful, and you're not running around doing all these things? You can just walk outside and enjoy it. You're not having over clutter of all these decisions and things, and where do I put this and where do I put that? Like, you just had peace. Like, wouldn't that be amazing? We could shift everything by just living more simply. We don't actually need what we think we need. I learned this a lot with like fasting and learning more about fasting. Was like, we actually don't need as much as we say. Like, we're like 3 meals a day and snacks in between, and then treats, and then special drinks, and like all of these things. And it's like, we are over consuming. We are taking in more than we actually need. My husband will say like, God will give us our daily bread. Are we eating somebody else's daily bread? Because we're just filling our bodies with things that are not necessary, right? We can fill our homes with things that are not necessary, and then they weigh us down physically. They can weigh us down like in weight, right? We can gain too much weight because we're consuming too much. Just emotionally and mentally, they can weigh on us because it clutters our environment, right? So what if we downsized, we lived more simply, less busy, and then we could savor the beauty and life around us more? That is the goal, right? Think of those people in the Bible that met with God. They were shepherds in the fields. They were getting water to feed their flock. They were just being in the still of, again, like shepherds were out in the field, and they were the ones chosen to go meet the Messiah, like this precious baby that was going to save the world. And they had, like, think of all the time that they had just to be still, and how much like that would open up conversations with the Lord, because you just have nothing else to do, right? But we can get so busy with things that we just don't have the time. Or maybe we have a verse a day, maybe we have a quick prayer before we fall asleep, but how often like do we live? I just, so many women that I talk to, they're in this constant like overwhelm and stress and panic and fear and worry about the future and worry about their kids and worry about finances and worry about the thing to come and all these things that haven't even happened yet, that we're so concerned about. When I want to like tell every woman, like, have that same passion and fiery burning to worry for, like, turn it towards your kids, for them to know and love Jesus. Like, let that be the most important thing that drives you, not having a perfect house or keeping up with what all the other, experts or beauty influencers or, I mean, there's just so many women that are like, their whole thing is getting other women to covet so that they can profit off of that. Like, and we fall for it. So like, let's not do that, right? So anyways, I really believe the more that we remove the external clutter and internal clutter, the more we give space to hear from God, to spend time with Him, to have greater clarity, creativity, joy, freedom in our everyday lives. And that starts with us doing an actionable step of like, let's start with my room. Let's start with my closet and let's work our way out. I'm still in the process of all of this. I'm going through closets and drawers and boxes and just realizing there's just so much that like I just want to let it go. And I want to let it go so much that if God tells us anything, we're going to say yes. Before you even ask, Lord, I want to say yes, and I want to be ready. So that means I got to get rid of a lot of stuff so that I have the freedom and the weight removed so that I can say yes to whatever God has for us in a moment because I'm ready. I always want to be ready. So that is all. I hope that you guys do it. Tell me if you do it. Tell me if you have done it. I've done this many times, coming back around, doing it again. And it feels so good, you guys. Okay, God bless you.